Thank you for tuning into this edition of Nasdaq Amplify's Issuer Spotlight, where we feature conversations with leaders of some of the world's most innovative and growth-oriented small-cap companies. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Shalabh Gupta, founder, chairman, and chief executive officer of Nasdaq-listed Unicycive Therapeutics.
Thank you, Michael.
Gupta, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about Unicycive Therapeutics and what you're working on?
Absolutely. So we are a company that's based in Silicon Valley. Our headquarters is 10 minutes drive from Palo Alto, Stanford University.
Yeah.
It's a place where we thought there's a mecca for entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
It's a culture and resources, primarily people that are there.
It's a good place to do it.
Absolutely. As a company, we have 2 drugs in development. Our lead drug is now very late stage. It's in the process of filing for a new drug application called NDA with the US FDA. It's for treatment of high phosphate in patients with chronic kidney disease. Our second drug is, we started a clinical trial in the UK. Is being tested, and we just dosed the first cohort of healthy volunteers. That drug is being tested for, evaluated for both acute as well as chronic kidney diseases. Okay. And that drug is going to be planning to finish phase 1 trial and bring it to the US next year, run a phase 2 trial in the US with the FDA's guidance. So those are the 2 products. One other part that I would love to tell you more about is our people. And we have a small team. We call it a small but mighty.
Yeah.
And it's a culture that signifies with the values we have created or we embody. Our team on the R&D side has had experience in taking multiple drugs from start to finish, from very early stage of clinical development all the way through full approval. And it's a rare feat for bigger companies, but it's also for a company of our size. Yep. Having people with the experience of taking multiple drugs concurrently through the regulatory FDA approval process is a key part, which we feel very proud of. And on a commercial front, we have people who are part of our team who have launched a product, especially in this therapeutic category, and rose the product sales to over $1 billion. So I think that sort of rounds up our team. And we say in our team that we follow Navy SEAL ethos. The idea is that there is no individual glory. We win together as a team, and we remain very focused. So we can't do everything that everybody else expects us to do, but we choose our priorities and we focus on them. So that's a part about our team, and that's what makes us very unique and special.
So can you talk a little bit about the prevalence of kidney disease and what you're doing to kind of better the standard of care?
Absolutely. So kidneys are one of the 2 primary organs that help to stabilize anything that we ingest, whether it's food, water, drinks, medicines, prescription medicines, or anything that we would intake. It's kidney and liver. These are 2 organs that help to cleanse them, metabolize them, and takes the necessary nutrients to sustain our body. So kidney diseases are an outcome rather than necessarily the cause initially for many, many organs. So for example, patients who suffer from high blood pressure, hypertension, diabetes, coronary artery disease, they all end up in having kidney diseases because kidney becomes an end stage. It's a target organ for all these disease outcomes. Chronic kidney diseases, as they are known, affects roughly 31 million people. That's 14% of US adult population. Right. 1 in 7 adults has chronic kidney disease, but they don't know about it. And once the chronic kidney disease has progressed from stage 1 through stage 5 is what is called as patients who are on dialysis. Mm-hmm. It's called end-stage renal disease or CKD stage 5. That is when they cannot take out the phosphate. It starts to accumulate in the body, and drugs are indicated, the lead drug is indicated for treatment of phosphate. The problem with phosphate is that in itself, it doesn't cause an issue in normal person, but when phosphate combines with calcium, it causes 2 big problems. Number 1, when calcium and phosphate get accumulated in the blood vessel, they make the blood vessels rigid, like lead pipes. Mm-hmm. You know, heart pumps up blood throughout the body. It goes into different parts of the body. But if the blood vessels are rigid, they cannot supply the blood that is necessary for the organ. Sure. So what you would find that patients who have coronary artery disease, they cannot have, they will have complications like a stroke if it is not enough blood supply to the brain, or in angina that is in the heart. Mm-hmm. So calcium combined with phosphate causes atherosclerosis, which is what is called in medical terms, but in simple terms, it causes blood vessels to thicken. So that's number 1 problem. Okay. People end up in dying from heart conditions like heart attacks, coronary artery disease, if they have hyperphosphatemia. The second problem is that calcium and phosphate, again, they can get deposited in bones and causes fractures or sometimes soft tissue deposition. So hyperphosphatemia it seems like an innocuous problem, but it is a really big silent
Sure.
killer.
Okay. And you have 2 drugs. What does success look like for each of them?
So for a lead drug, which is a treatment for high phosphate, if I may show you, I would like to show you a
We have a
plot.
visual aid,
Yeah.
which is good because I'm a visual learner.
Yeah, this is a lay of the land as it is of a treatment of high phosphate in the US. Our drug is not approved, it's an investigational drug, so I just want to caution that. But the rest of the drugs are approved, are on the market. This block represents almost $1.25 billion sales per year in the US in terms of what it costs to the healthcare system. But more importantly, there are 3 problems with the existing drugs. Either you take 9 pills per day, 12 pills per day, or 8 pills per day. That's a large number of pills.
Sure.
Other option you have is taking large size pills, and these are giant size pills that you have to take them. And the third issue is that
And these are chewable.
these have to be chewed.
Okay.
These have to be chewed, and that's precisely the third point, that these pills taste horrible, and we are asking patients to take these pills. This is our pill, 1 pill with each meal. Upon approval, this is a potential to be able to provide the compliance. And I want to point out 2 more things. We are asking these patients to take these pills for the rest of their life. These patients, which I told you earlier, that these are the patients who already suffer from other medical problems like coronary artery disease, diabetes, high blood pressure. So they take on an average 20 to 30 pills per day. And I can tell you as a physician, when we give prescription to patients, patients want to do the best they can do for their health. It is not a good thing to think being judgmental about them. Just if you have an empathetic way to think about them, patients want to do their really the best, very best they can do. But when you ask somebody to take 9 or 12 pills for the rest of their life, which is 5 pills as an example with each meal, they don't take it, and that's there lies in the problem.
So you mentioned you were a physician,
Absolutely.
right? I know you're a serial entrepreneur and you founded 2 companies prior to Unicycive, but
Right.
you were a practicing physician
Absolutely.
right here in our neighborhood at NYU. Is that right?
That's right. That's right.
So what prompted you to kind of leave medicine and get into this venture?
So I was always interested in sciences, medical sciences, and went into medical school thinking that I'll become a physician, which I did. As a physician, I can take care of 1 patient at a time, maybe a few hundred patients in a month, maybe a few thousand patients in a year. But there is a challenge. Your impact is somewhat limited, if you will. Doing what we do today, bringing these type of medicine, we have an opportunity to make an impact at a global scale in millions of patients. And more importantly, we believe there is an opportunity to bring a drug like our lead drug into market and save people's life. Because I mentioned to you, if they have high phosphate, they end up in dying from it. More importantly, before the death, they end up in having increased risk of hospitalization. And that costs a lot of money to the healthcare system and to patients, because patients are depending on insurance, but many times they carry their own healthcare costs of their healthcare. So we believe there is an opportunity to impact millions of patients. And that, as you know, is a very super inspiring cause to be able to pursue.
Absolutely. So you're a Nasdaq listed company. We're here at Nasdaq.
Thank you.
So I have to ask, what role have the public markets helped in advancing Unicycive's mission, and what does Nasdaq represent to you?
So if you are developing a new molecule in a lab, it's a very great scientific feat, and that helps from that perspective. But if you're thinking about bringing a product to the global markets, Nasdaq provides the opportunity in many, many folds. So number one, it gives us an opportunity to deal with or interact with world-class investors throughout the world, not just in the US. Number two, as we think about our company, as we think about our products, healthcare is universal. People suffer from kidney problems globally. Nasdaq provides us an opportunity to provide that platform so we can amplify what we do. Nasdaq Amplify, there's a name over there. But we can then be able to get our message out, get to know, people can learn more about our company, our products on a global scale. And we did a partnership in China, which we announced earlier. Then we did a partnership in Korea. Our view is that as a small company, we may not be able to bring products all over the world, but by finding the right partners, we can impact not only the US patient population, but the rest of the world. And Nasdaq has been a great partner to us.
So we talked about the fact that you're a serial entrepreneur, and I think that's an interesting position. So what advice do you have for the next generation of innovators and entrepreneurs who hope to someday grow their company and bring it public on Nasdaq?
Michael, as you know, starting a company, especially something like which I did, which is starting from scratch, is not easy. There are challenges. But if I were to summarize, I will say three things to keep in mind. Number one, you always have to think about number of challenges, but being able to prioritize your problem, being able to prioritize the things that you need to focus on. Even if you start a company, you will have 40 to 50 things to do, but being able to focus, zone in 2 or 3 priorities at any given time is a key, because that helps you to be able to focus. You can never focus on 50 things simultaneously.
Right.
Number two, I think people think about entrepreneurship as taking risk. I think about it as a different way. I think it's mitigating risk. Entrepreneurship or starting a company has enough risk. You don't have to go out and add more risk.
Sure.
But you want to think about is how do you minimize risk? One way to minimize risk is if you're thinking in an R&D setting, to do one more experiment that can help you get that understanding that will avoid you wasting or spending money, millions of dollars later on. If you think in a commercial sense, you can go and talk to your future customers, what impact your product will have in the market.
Sure.
I'm a physician, but I'm not a nephrologist. Before I could come up with this drugs and bring it to the market, bring it to the public company, I went and talked to hundreds and hundreds of nephrologists. I didn't do it relying on someone else. Personally, I went and talked to physicians, understanding what is the pain point that our drug can potentially address. So that's number two. And number three, I think no matter what you do in life, there are challenges and obstacles. And I think one thing that can let people, can help you, it may not avoid you to not see obstacles, but at least can help you is to have a purpose. Having a very specific why you're doing what you're doing, and being passionate about your why is a key, because challenges will come. As the company grows, there are more challenges, but beginning a company, taking the company from its infancy to be able to a stable company will come with lots of challenges. And the only thing that can keep you going, keep your fire up, is the passion. And the passion comes from knowing why you're doing what you're doing. And I think that's the key to success.
That's a great answer. That's great advice, and I think that's a good place to leave it. If you want to know more about Unicycive, you can go to their website at unicycive.com. That's unicycive.com. Thank you, Dr. Gupta, so much for being here, and thank you all for watching.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for hosting us.